This is Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff, plus Nate, maybe plus Alex, but no Jim tonight and no Sam.
No, I think we need to record that and say this is sports stuff with Muff and Nate.
Bingo. Got it. This is Sports Stuff with Muff and Nate. Today is Monday, October 2, and we have reached October. We're back from our break on this show, the regular show that comes out on Mondays, after last weekend's journey to Columbus to watch a preseason hockey match between the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, Nate, we talked a little bit about this on the betting show. So what were your feelings about the game, the pregame, and everything we got to see?
Like Alex and I said, if you have not been to a game in Columbus to hear that cannon shoot off, I think Alex actually pissed himself a little bit.
Yeah, we had to call over the customer service people to make some things happen.
I mean, we did know that the cannon was going to shoot anytime they scored, but they shot it once pregame, and I think it scared all of us.
Yeah, I definitely jumped a bit whenever it was shot pregame because I did not know that that was part of the shtick in Columbus. So that was news to me.
Yeah, I mean, granted to them to have something that unique, but I mean, hell, I have a feeling if we were walking across the street from outside the arena and you heard that thing go off, you think you're getting shot at.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how well it's insulated when it goes off inside, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it was loud.
Yeah, very loud. Very, very loud. The Blue Jackets won in a shootout, correct?
Correct. 3-2.
Yeah, we were on our travel back by then. Old people got to get sleep, which I did get some on the way back.
Yeah, sorry, folks. We didn't ride it out the whole length of the preseason game.
We're not that committed of fans to drive the 2.5 hours and back in one day and watch the whole game, which would end at like 10:30 if we stayed the whole time.
Right. Now, regular season game, absolutely we stay, but preseason game, don't know, but maybe the first line there for the Jackets and a couple pens. I think I even told Alex watching them pregame, I'm like, I think I've heard of two of these guys that are skating right now for Pittsburgh, and one of them has already been waived.
Yeah. So Nate, how's the wheel feeling? Did you get a chance to get on it a little bit more this weekend, get on the gridiron, and throw some flags, throw some orange flags, some orange bean bags?
Yeah, I was on the field Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we're pretty much almost all the way back. Still a little tender going downstairs, especially for whatever reason, but on the field just gets a little bit sore after running around for a while. But I'd say I'm probably at 90%.
So you can run a 4.98 then, right?
I think the fastest 40 I've ever was clocked out was a 5.2, so we'll see.
Haven't improved with this injury. This isn't like a what movie was that where the kid messed up his shoulder or his arm? He broke his arm.
Rookie of the year.
Bingo. We don't have one of those situations where you're automatically going to get really fast after an injury.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of superpower that would be for me. It's like, don't want to get beat to the goal line if you're working on the sideline or if you're the referee or back judge or whatever, but I don't have to worry about beating anybody to the goal line, so I'm good.
There you go. All right. Real quick note, now that the regular season is over in baseball, the Pittsburgh Pirates have ended their season with a win over the Marlins, finishing 76-86, besting 4 teams in the NL and 8 teams overall. I mean, I'm going to say that I feel pretty good about the Pirates season overall with this one. They seem to stay consistent and they didn't fall off like they usually do in August and September.
Yeah, I mean, even though they basically fielded a minor league team at the end of the year, I mean, they competed all the way through, which is what I said from the beginning of the year. I just wanted a team that compete. I knew they weren't going to make the playoffs, probably weren't going to have a winning record. But now it's just like, okay, who do we keep around? Who do we trade off for a bucket of balls? Do they even bring back McCutcheon? So
probably not, if I were to guess. That may have been his swan song.
I don't think he wants to go out like that with the partially torn Achilles, which seems to be the major injury in everywhere anymore. So I hope they bring him back for one more year, and that can kind of be a swan song, considering he didn't play outfield, but maybe a handful of games.
Yeah, you're right. All right, everybody. Thanks to everybody that interacts with our content on social media at Sports Jim Muff on Instagram and X, and Sports Stuff W/Jim Ampersand Muff on Facebook, on YouTube. Subscribe, comment, rate, review, poke, like, tickle.
Get the bell on.
There we go. Jim is at the beach. We don't have Jim. Jim is at the beach with his family, doing some fun family things, taking his kids to see the water. Apparently, that's a big thing for at least his
Yeah,
youngest.
yeah. Hopefully, Jim, if you're listening to this by now, you haven't been pantsed.
Yeah, yeah, that was an interesting comment. Alex is being a medical degenerate, working in the hospital. May or may not pop in before the end of this episode. So strap in for an episode full of Nate and Muff. Which brings us into the NFL week 4, starting off with Thursday football as the Lions go into Lambeau Field and flex their muscles to take away a 34-20 win. Lions improve to 3-1 under Dan Campbell in his second year as head coach.
Yeah, really biting them kneecaps hard.
Doing
I think if you're
something
Green
right.
Bay, yeah, if you're Green Bay though, you got to be a little concerned. I mean, I know you had a lot of injuries. Bakhtiari's back on. I think Aaron Jones was just coming off the uh,
Coming off
injured
the
list
pup.
himself. I can't remember.
Yeah. The
Yeah, he's coming.
IR or
Yeah, he's
pup.
coming off an injury.
Christian
Christian Watson
Watson. Yeah.
just
Another
came
one.
back off an injury. So really, it's almost like they haven't really played a full game together. So hopefully Green Bay can right the ship because it just seems odd to me with Green Bay not being that good. I mean, it's just one of those teams you expect them to be 500 or better every year. It just seems odd that they're not playing well. But I mean, they've had Rodgers and Favre, and now you go to a new first year guy. It's tough to see what's going to happen, I guess.
Yeah, we will see. But the Lions are looking good. Looking good, the
That
Lions.
they are.
So hopefully for the NFL, I think it's cool if the Lions are good for the NFL. I think it's a good story to
Yeah,
have.
front runners in the division, correct?
I believe if I mean at the very least they're tied, if not all the way up top. Which brings us into Sunday morning football. In the Toy Story game in London, the Jags take their first of 2 in London town, 23-7 over the Falcons, who appeared not to really have any offense aside from Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's going to be their story for most of the year.
Yeah, yeah, Nate, I know you watched this live to get some of the Toy Story fanfare. Tell us about your favorite parts.
So I got up this morning, made breakfast. I'm like, well, shit, this is different. I get to watch football before I get to go officiate football on a Sunday for once. So I was like, well, let's see what the Toy Story thing's all about. And they throw it on, and a couple points that I thought were pretty funny were they were spotting the ball with the crane that they
Okay.
used to get those little alien toys out. So the crane was spotting the ball, and then I think the best part of it all was Slinky Dog was the chains. So 1st and 10, he lines up, and then anytime it gets shorter, he just gets a little smaller. Anytime there's a penalty, instead of the chains moving back, Slinky Dog's hind legs just go back. So that was the highlight of the whole thing to me. But and then again, it's funny to see all the guys like shrunk. And I swear, I think they had every single person wearing a visor.
They what was it? It was like 2 or 3 plays behind the Toy Story broadcast or whatever we're gonna call it.
Yeah, something like that, which still, even being 2 to 3 plays behind, that's got to be some incredible work done by whoever puts this on to be able to sync that up and say, okay, because they showed like one play with Trevor Lawrence on a scramble, and then they showed one of Bijan Robinson juking some guy out of his cleats, and both of them were like pretty spot on as far as the animations going from the Toy Story land to real life. And so kudos to whoever decided to put this on, and I thought it went really, really well.
Nice. Yeah. I didn't get a chance to watch it. I watched some of the replays on social media afterwards, and I saw the crane, the claw
Mm-hmm.
doing its thing, but I didn't really get to see Slinky Dog, and I didn't really see many plays, but just caught some clips. Next, in a week after scoring 70 and getting a huge win over the Broncos, the Dolphins found themselves underdogs against the Bills in Buffalo. The handicappers got this one right as the Bills win 48-20, putting both teams at 3-1 after week 4. Devon Achane has a 2-touchdown day, but it was Josh Allen's day as he throws for 4 touchdowns, 3 to Stephon Diggs. It separated the Bills in this game.
Yeah,
You
it's a
like
lot different whenever you go from a team that just gets their first is a team that actually has been consistently putting it together week after week.
right? It's a big upgrade in competition. So I don't know if this says anything about either team aside from that the Bills are a better team right now.
Well, and I think for the Bills fans, it's like this is the team that you expect to see week after week. Like,
Yes,
granted, it's not going to happen, but this shows what they're capable of when they get their shit together.
indeed. Good win for the Bills. Good win for the Bills. The Vikings get off the snide in a game against another winless team, beating the Panthers 21-13. The difference in this one was a Vikings fumble return for a tutty, while Justin Jefferson grabbed 2 touchdowns from Kirk Cousins, who threw for only 139 yards with 2 interceptions to go with those pair of tutties to Justin Jefferson. I don't
In
really
the
think
world,
there's much to talk about here, right?
no, just in the words of Al Davis, just win, baby.
Just win, baby. And another battle of winless teams that no one particularly cares about. The Broncos used a strong second half to win 31-28 behind 3 touchdowns from Russell Wilson over the Bears. Justin Fields did have a great day through the air, which is kind of a contradictory statement, with 335 yards and 4 touchdowns, 2 to Cole Kmet. A noticeable person missing from the Bears lineup was Chase Claypool, who was grounded as he was asked to stay home.
Oh, I got to stay home and watch the Toy Story game. I can't come stand on the sideline with my friends.
Like, this comes this week after he was asked during a post practice interview if he was being used correctly, and he simply responded no.
Well, what was it last week? There was that sound bite from the actual game. I think it was the Bucks. I think it was Devin White asked DJ Moore. He goes, "Man, they're not using you the best way possible." He goes, "Yeah, I know."
Yeah, so definitely a lot of problems in Chicago. Right, Chicago may just be in another lottery pool to get draft picks right now.
Right, and I saw today they said if the draft was right now, the Bears have picks 1 and 2.
Right, which I'm sure one is a quarterback. TBD which quarterback it would be. One of them would be a quarterback. And then who knows what they do with the second one? Probably get a position player that is going to be out of the league in 2 years. The Ravens improved to 3-1 and stand atop the AFC North after a 28-3 win over the Browns. Lamar Jackson threw for 2 scores and added 2 on the ground to pace the Ravens against a tough Cleveland defense.
Yeah, I think Cleveland, you got to start pushing the panic button or rubbing the panic button, especially when it comes to your in division opponents.
Yeah, I mean, Cleveland was without Deshaun Watson in this game.
No, he didn't play at all.
He didn't play for the majority of the game, if not the whole game. Didn't watch any of it, but I know that he was not a factor.
Mm-hmm. Well, then what did I see earlier this week? Like, what the heck happened to David Njoku?
So the only report I saw, and I didn't dig deep into this, was he had a at-home accident, but he played today.
Yeah, because I saw where he was walking into the stadium. He had like a full mask on or whatever, because they said he had facial burns.
Oh, well, maybe he was getting on that grill and the grill fought back. Who knows? Ship Matt Canada to Abu Dhabi after this one as the Steelers drop a same old story type of game to the Texans 30-6. CJ Stroud looked like a polished pro against the Steelers D and was the beneficiary of good field position all game as he found Nico Collins for 2 scores. Kenny Pickett goes down in the second half because the Steelers, of course, 4th and 1, go to the team's 45, go for it inside a yard and decide, oh, this is the perfect time to throw a pass. And that's the play that Kenny Pickett went down on. I believe he was holding his left leg.
Yeah, I don't get it. I was even watching, I think it was a college game or something. It's like, why do these teams, unless you know you're going to go for it and you're behind, it's like, why do you put yourself in a situation 3rd and 1, 4th and 1? It's like, if you're not tough enough to gain 1 yard making all these millions of dollars, go home.
Or just, employ the strategy that so many other teams are doing now with, what are they calling it? It's
The
not the,
tush put.
it's, well, I think they've renamed it. I think it's something else. I don't remember what it is, but there's another name that's being tossed around instead of the tush push. I don't know if it's because people don't want to say tush on air, but I've heard another one. I think it's like the I forget. We'll figure it out later. The Rams jump out early, but the Colts charge back to tie up the game and send it to overtime. But ultimately, the Rams prevail, winning 29-23. Matthew Stafford gutted through most of the second half with an injured hip, willing the Rams to victory over the Colts and rookie quarterback Anthony Richardson, who, to his credit, was able to make it through an entire game today.
Yeah, I think he's just going to fight that all year. Where can he make it through the game? I mean, he's already been knocked out of one game, and we're not even just now a quarter of the way through the season, which is still hard to believe. But it's like the Colts are looking pretty good without Jonathan Taylor, and they got a lot of young guys, and I don't want to say they have nothing to play for, but they've really just got a lot of young, unproven guys that are really fighting for jobs to see, are they going to be on this team next year? Can they really help this team down the line? Because really, the Colts aren't expected to really compete in this division.
No, they are not. The Rams, though, been competitive pretty every week thus far.
Yeah, they definitely have also been overachievers.
They could be like the Vikings of last year, right? If they can win their close games, they may be competitive for playoff spot.
Yeah, we'll see, especially once they get Cooper Cup back.
Yeah, definitely. Derek Carr ends up playing in this one despite reports Jameis Winston might make the start, but it didn't matter as the Bucks improved to 3-1, beating the Saints 26-9.
Yeah, I was checking scores at halftime in my Pee Wee games and after the game. This kind of surprised me as a Bucks fan because usually whenever they play the Saints, it's a tougher, lower scoring game. But like you said, it looks like Carr really just couldn't quite get it going, and Baker Mayfield actually surprised. So going in 3-1, I definitely didn't anticipate that. I was thinking maybe 2-2 at best. So
Hey, this is good
I mean,
news for you.
yeah, but we'll see how it goes. I
This
mean,
was Alvin
still,
Kamara's first game back.
yeah, Alvin Kamara's first game back. Mike Evans went out with a hamstring injury. Godwin had a nice game. He went over 100 yards. It was kind of weird too not to see a fight of between Lattimore and Evans too.
So, is this for you just a lot of wash, rinse, repeat with Mike Evans having an injury issue?
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, hell, he's still gotten the only guy to have 1,000 yards receiving his first 8 years. I mean, I think this is in jeopardy this year, especially because, like I said, I still don't trust Baker.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if he can continue to put it together and lead this team, I mean, maybe they sneak in and make the playoffs because right now this division is still wide open.
Yeah, it is. Definitely is. Don't look now, but the Commanders are competing with some of the NFC's best, forcing the Eagles to overtime. Ultimately, it is the Eagles who take away a 34-31 victory. AJ Brown had a big day.
Yeah, I saw this one was going into overtime. I was like, oh shit. But I still think I like this Commanders team. I mean, granted, I don't know a lot of them, but they fight like hell. I mean, this was one of those games I always keep saying they're going to get someone, and they almost got him today.
Yeah. The Commanders, like I said, they're competing, just like the Rams are, just like your Bucks are. They're competing every week, and sooner or later they're going to get over the top against some teams that just have less than stellar or subpar performances. So
That or some team looks down on it and plays down their level of competition.
bingo. It is time to sound the alarm all the way into Kentucky as the Bengals are dominated by the Titans 27-3, dropping their record to 1-3 amid another abysmal offensive performance. Joe Burrow only throws for 165 yards, and they only muster 72 yards on the ground, while Derrick Henry notches a 100-plus yard performance with a tud. Whew. What is in store for the Bengals this week across all of the media outlets, Nate?
Like you said, they're going to be hammering the alarm in Cincinnati. They're going to be hammering it in Kentucky. They're going to be hammering it in Western Indiana, or sorry, Eastern Indiana. But yeah, it's like with all this, like going to the Super Bowl, winning the division the past couple years, really not losing a lot, like off those rosters. It's like, what is going on?
Right, you just paid Joe Burrow. Right,
Mm-hmm.
Jamar Chase isn't happy. He's saying he's open every play, every effing play, if I remember correctly. He said,
Yeah, he's like
uh,
every receiver. He's got a big ego.
"Not sure." But when you only put up 3 points, you got to imagine at some point he's probably open when this ball is not being thrown to him.
I know that's one thing I couldn't imagine as being an NFL coach or coordinator. And we got all these guys. Oh well, I need more targets, or I should touch the ball more. It's like I'm trying to call the best play to score a touchdown right now. I'm not trying to necessarily call a play just to throw you a pass.
Right. So, a lot to come of that. I mean, as far as that division, you've got the Browns and the Steelers have tough defenses. The Ravens are just a solid team. If they can't get it together, they may have some very, very tough games ahead. I'm not saying they can't win games in division, but if the offense can't put it together, it's going to be a tough road to hoe.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious to see now that we're 4 games in. If they continue this trend, it's like, do they just self implode? Do they try to trade away assets? What happens to Cincinnati?
Yeah, I
I mean,
think
granted,
T Higgins went down in this game too, another one of their offensive weapons.
yeah, I mean, they're going to have their untouchables. They're not going to trade Burrow, Mixon, or Chase, but
Mhm.
still, it's like if they continue to go in this downward spiral, it's like, what happens to them now? Because it's the same song and dance. And if Jim were here, he'd say it. They just can't protect Joe Burrow. Their offensive line has been their issue for the past 3 years.
Mhm. Continues to be. Speaking of Jim, the Chargers took a 24-7 lead to the half and will hold on for a 24-17 win over the Raiders, who had Aiden O'Connell in at quarterback today, replacing Jimmy G, Dougie D.
Yeah, who was a little bit concussed, if I remember correctly, is why he was out.
Yeah, but
But
Chargers get a win. Jim would be happy. They did not grab defeat from the jaws of victory.
yeah, because they were without Austin Eckler again today, correct?
Mm-hmm. And Mike Williams is out for the season.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to figure some stuff out. I think hopefully Eckler's back within the next week or two, which should help.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still trying to figure out. I think Palmer was had the most yards in Williams'
Mm-hmm.
stead.
Now, on the opposite side of that coin, I think Raiders fans are another team that's hitting the panic button hard.
Yeah,
Because
because they can't
get
compete
Josh,
with Aiden O'Connell.
yeah, because you get Josh McDaniels as your coach, you think, oh, he was that offensive mastermind at New England when Brady was there.
Mm-hmm.
You get Josh Jacobs back in the building. You trade and go get Devontae Adams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you traded away Darren Waller for basically nothing.
Yeah.
And then you go out and get Jimmy G, who's done nothing but win everywhere he's been. And now you're on the outside looking in. It's like, how short of a leash do they have now?
Yeah. I mean, they may just push a full rebuild. Well, they can't. They just paid Jimmy G. So who knows?
Mm-hmm.
The Cowboys used 2 defensive touchdowns and put a whooping on the Patriots, 38-3, putting last week's loss to the Cards behind them and improving to 3-1.
And another team that's hitting the panic button. It's like the Patriots. I mean, they remind me of watching the Steelers on offense. It's like they have a young quarterback, they got some young assets around them, and they just can't put it together.
Yeah,
It's like you feel for Belichick for everything he's done for that organization, and now he's just kind of stuck with the island of misfit toys.
yeah, that's exactly it. He has a subpar young quarterback, or at least performing subpar. He may turn out to be a decent quarterback, all said and done, but his performance is not good. And who's he throwing to, right? They're trying this 2 tight end system again that they had with Hernandez and Gronkowski, but Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki are not those two.
No, they're
And
two more receiving tight ends. They're not going to be those inline blockers like Gronkowski was.
yeah, so I think there is cause for major concern in New England. Christian McCaffrey notches 4 touchdowns, adding another game to his record-setting streak as the 49ers pull away in second half, beating the Cardinals 35-16. 49ers are 4-0 and clearly one of the top teams in the NFL so far this season.
Yeah, that's one of those teams that you come up on their schedule. It's like, damn, do we have to play these guys now?
Yeah, and they're not even fully healthy. I don't even think they have everybody. I don't even think they've ever had everybody for one game. I think they've had always somebody's out.
Yeah, but whenever you got Mike Shanahan or Kyle Shanahan out there, I mean, he's one of those guys like when McVay got his first head coaching job, but Shanahan's just putting together year after year.
Yeah,
and plus, when you got Brock Purdy, it's like I was talking to somebody about this earlier. It's like he's the last overall pick of the draft class he was in, so you're not expecting much of him whenever he comes in, and all he's doing is just throwing for 200, 300 yards a game.
Mm-hmm.
He's got all these studs around him, like, oh, I would love to have Christian McCaffrey to hand the ball to or throw a swing pass to.
Yeah.
Oh, then I got to throw it over to Devo Samuel as a stud. I got George Kittle, who's like one of one.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they are a team to be reckoned with, and Brock Purdy is undefeated as a regular season starter still.
What's his record then? Is it like
I think it's 8-0.
I was gonna say it's 7 or 8 or 9. I knew it's somewhere in that
Yeah.
range.
Yeah. All right, that wraps up the NFL slate, which brings us to Sunday night football: Chiefs versus Jets. Where's Taylor Swift? What's Taylor Swift doing? Is she in the popcorn machine? Is she in a suite? Or her and Mama Kelsey chatting? Nate, what can we tell the world?
Pre-game, I saw she came in with an entourage of probably like 6 or 7 other people. Of note, there was Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. I saw, and I think Hugh Jackman was another one that's in attendance. And I believe they're all in a suite with Mama Kelsey.
All right. Travis Kelsey gained almost 900,000 followers on social media this week. And for a podcast, it's already the number one sports podcast. I think they're about to get a huge bump in their success.
Yeah, and then I mean, it's just unreal going on with the situation. I just can't wait to hear the breakup song from Taylor when it's all said and done.
You know, I'm gonna hope for love in this one. I'm gonna hope for love.
Yeah, we can hope for the best, but just going based off of history, you know what's gonna happen here.
Yeah. But what's going on in the game, Nate? There is a game happening.
So right now it is 3-0 Chiefs. They got the ball first, drove down the field. Kelsey had a couple grabs, and I'm surprised they didn't show Taylor in the suite screaming, "Let's effing go," like she did last week. They went down there, got a field goal, and then the Jets just punted.
Okay. I think that's going to be a common theme tonight. The Jets just punted. Getting into Monday night, our predictions for Monday, we have the Seahawks taking on the Giants. Who do you got, Nate?
I've got Alex's Geno Smith-led Seahawks. I think they've got to be, I don't want to say heavy favorites, but Saquon is still, I think, doubtful to go. Their offensive tackle, left tackle, I believe, has already been ruled out. So, I mean, things are not looking good in New York, and you know that market. They're just going to get down their throats now. Like, we got the Giants and the Jets, and they both suck.
Yeah. It would be okay if one of the teams was good, but when both of them are bad.
Yeah. But yeah, I just haven't seen anything for the Giants that makes me feel like they have any chance against Pete Carroll, and Geno's playing well. DK, if he can stay healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. Seahawks, I think, are only like 3-point favorites. So,
I think when I looked at ESPN today when I was checking scores, I saw 1.5.
Okay. So yeah, I knew it was any more than 3 because that is the Midwest Mobster risky pick of the week from the betting show. Which means they're a money line dog, is what that means. Mm-hmm. All right. So, in other news, real quick in the NFL, the Raiders released DN Chandler Jones amidst an absolute dumpster fire of a situation. He had not been with the team or participating for weeks now. But this past week and a half, he included him going on, I believe, his Instagram Live to express his displeasure about how the organization and Josh McDaniel was treating him. Then he was reportedly forced to a facility for treatment, only later to be arrested for allegedly violating a domestic violence temporary protective order. Whatever's going on with Chandler Jones, we hope that everyone in his sphere is safe and that Jones gets any help that he may need.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to see it come down to they have to release him, but I mean, I think it's best for him and best for the team to part ways here, not have that distraction weighing in your locker room and all that negative publicity for the team. But yeah, I mean, this is just getting almost scary with what's going on with him.
So let's hope everybody's safe and everybody gets what they need out of the situation, which wraps up NFL Week 4 breakdown and look ahead. Brings us into the Week 5 discussion of college football. I'm going to try to channel my inner Jim here to see what we can do. Ohio State had a bye week. So
wait, you forgot the college football breakdown.
There we go. I knew there was something I was missing with this. Ohio State didn't have a game, so this guy can't be falling too much.
I don't know. We might need to confirm that though.
Yeah, you're right. Something had to have happened. There probably somebody saw a practice and Kyle McCord threw one ball off target, and they're like, "Oh, we can't win with this. We can't do it. It's impossible." Or Marvin Harrison Jr. was still limping slightly after his injury from the Notre Dame game. So who knows? Who knows? But in the Big Ten, number 6 Penn State starts off very, very slow, maybe in the Northwestern high grass, but they end up taking it from Northwestern 41-13 thanks to a strong second half showing.
Yeah, this has been back-to-back weeks where they kind of started off slow, right?
No, in Iowa, Iowa's a rain game. It was a different game. They didn't start off slow against Iowa. I think just the pace of that game was slow. And we were playing Iowa, you expect that.
Or
So
maybe it was the other away game when they were at Illinois on the road a couple weeks ago.
yes, yeah, they did start off slow against Illinois.
So I
Correct.
think that's got to. How do you feel about that with them starting off really slow in these? I don't want to say lesser tier, but like teams you really should handle on the road, and you're in the first half you're almost sleepwalking.
Yeah, so I think that is a problem. And I think a bigger problem is these have all been like, so this was an 11 a.m. kickoff Eastern time.
Mm-hmm.
It's the noon kickoffs that they seem to be starting off slower. And I think both of their big games against Michigan, potentially not against Ohio State, I think that could be flexed out. But I think there's both scheduled to be noon kickoffs, and they're not going to be able to get it done if they start off slow against those teams.
Yeah, so hopefully they're getting in the film room or something to get together. Because I mean, on the outside looking in, I'm like, man, if I'm a fan of one of these teams and I see how slow they're starting off, I'm like, I'd be concerned. Like, yeah, they had a strong second half, but it's like whatever you're telling that team at halftime, and they're making all these adjustments, do it before the game.
Yeah,
Like,
find something.
like, do we just have bad game planning, or are we just not executing the game plan to what we need to do? But hey, they're making hell of second half adjustments.
Yeah, if the adjustments are working, then that's great. But yeah, I think I agree. I think the initial game plan needs to be a little bit more scrutinized than maybe it is
Yeah.
at this point. Minnesota rows the boat over the Raggin' Caggins, winning 35-24. It
Yay.
happened. Number 2 Michigan takes care of business on the road, beating Nebraska 45-7. Right,
I would like to ask Jim if that was a good win.
they covered. Great team.
Yep.
Confirmed great team this week. Maryland wins against Indiana 44-17, setting up the match of the unbeatens next week against Ohio State. The Terrapins, those very fearsome turtles, taking on the Buckeyes. Who wins? The nut or the turtle?
Well, if the turtle tries to eat the nut, it might get congested in its throat. It could choke. This is my Mike Leach impersonation model. So I don't think a turtle's supposed to eat a Buckeye. It could be kind of poisonous. So I guess I'll roll with the nut.
It's going to be a standoff. It's going to be a standoff between the turtle and the nut. Purdue upsets Illinois 44-19. We got this one way wrong.
Yeah, we did.
We had Illinois winning the Big Ten West, and Illinois will not be doing that this year.
No, they will not. Thanks, Brett Bielema.
Way to go, buddy. Way to go. Rutgers plays FCS Wagner, winning a game that they should win 52-3.
Yeah, knowing Greg Schiano, he's probably all butthurt they gave up 3 points.
Right. This doesn't make me feel any different.
No.
The Rutgers Penn State game. I feel the same. I feel no different. Michigan State continues their downward spiral, losing at Iowa 26-16. I'm surprised they got 16 points. Really, I am. And it was competitive up until I think the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched anything. I mean, I've just seen the whole fallout with the Mel Tucker thing. So it's like, what's going to happen with Michigan State? Are they just going to be the bottom dwellers of the Big Ten now? Like, are these kids going to really like have any sense of like urgency or to play for pride or anything? It's like, oof.
Yeah, more to come on the Mel Tucker saga that has, for now, ended in East Lansing. Other matchups in the college football world from the top 10 include number 19 Oregon State upsetting a Cam Rising-less Utah team 21-7.
Is he going to freaking play or not?
At this point, he may as well just hold out and get ready for see what he can do in the draft. Like, I don't know why he would push himself back.
Because like that's the story every week. Oh, is Cam Rising going to play? Is he going to play? It's like if he's not going to play now, I mean, they're pretty much all but out of it after losing to Oregon State, unless some major things happen in the Pac-12. But still, it's like they're not going to make the playoff this year. It's like maybe if he comes back, they get an Oregon or they get a USC upset or something. But yeah, I'm with you. Like maybe just kind of ease it up now. But would have been nice to have him started the season.
Yeah, just to see what that team could do with him for the year.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been nice.
Yeah, they're a completely different team with him.
Yeah, I agree. Number 1, Georgia gets a late touchdown to lift them to a 27-20 win over Auburn. I keep saying it. I keep saying Georgia's number 1 until they lose, but Georgia, they're not putting together impressive wins, but they keep winning.
Yeah, I mean, going to a new quarterback, I mean, maybe you don't have the mailman there anymore, but still, it's like you're expected to just reload. But yeah, I mean, they said Auburn's not supposed to be the cream of the crop in the SEC, maybe even mid tier this year. So I don't know. I would have my concerns if I was a Georgia fan too. I mean, that seems to be the theme of the episode is teams to be concerned about. But I mean, if you're going to be the number 1 team, defending national champs, I expect more out of you than going on to play a mediocre Auburn team on the road, win by 7.
Yeah. So we will see. Number 3, Texas proves that Kansas does not belong with the top dogs just yet, disposing of the Jayhawks 40-14.
Yeah, Kansas, this is still football, not basketball.
Yeah. You haven't made your way there yet. Getting there, not yet. Number 7, Washington wins a close one against Arizona, 31-24. Unexpected for me. I expected Washington to win by 3 touchdowns plus. They started out hot, and then just Arizona just kept kind of coming back in, and ended up being close.
Yeah, I don't know if Washington just like put it on cruise control or what was going on, but Washington had looked white hot coming into this week.
Mm-hmm. This game was on the Pac-12 network.
Yeah, so nobody could watch it.
Right. It's a 10 p.m. game. If you want the spotlight on your teams, your top teams in the Pac-12, why are we putting on this network that's probably going to be defunct after this year anyway?
Right. It's just sad too, because like, not to get into this whole Pac-12 thing, but the Pac-12 has all these ranked teams in the top 15. I mean, you got USC, you got Oregon, you got Washington. Washington State's moving up there. Oregon State's in the top 20. And it's like I know, like you said, being on the West Coast, these games start at 10, but you got to get these kids on TV.
Yeah.
Not on a little network that just 4 or 5 states are going to watch.
Right. And you got Heisman candidates in Penix and in Williams. Mm-hmm. Right. We need to figure out a way to get them on TV. And right, they don't need to be playing these noon games. Right. We don't want 9 a.m. start times on the West Coast for these teams. We want them.
Yeah, because wasn't it the USC Colorado game? Was that the Fox game of the week yet again?
Yeah.
So it's big noon kickoff, which is 10 a.m. local for them.
Right. So why? This is dumb. Like, give them a mid-afternoon East Coast game, or make an odd time slot, like a 6 o'clock time slot, because all the 7 and 8 o'clock games aren't necessarily the best. I mean, you had like this past week, Pitt playing somebody at like a 6 or 7 o'clock time frame. I think I'd get that game out of my face. Give me one of these.
Right. I mean, that's just like the NFL game today. Like the Bears played a 1 o'clock East Coast game, so that's noon to them. Steelers played in Houston, 1 o'clock East Coast. That was a noon kick.
Yeah, so we need to figure this out because it's not good for the players either, right? That's an early wake up for them.
That's the last thing I want to do. Like, even give credit to like these college kids. Like, I still get up and do these high school games at 10 a.m. on Saturdays. I'm like, man, I'm just exhausted from my Friday night game. I'm going to do this Saturday game, and like these kids either stand on the sideline the whole game or they maybe play a little bit or play some special teams. It's like that's the last thing I want to do is play first thing in the morning.
Yeah. Speaking of the big noon kickoff, number 8 USC started off strong, but then the Buffaloes of Colorado storm back in the second half behind Shadur Sanders. The Trojans do come away with a close win, 48-21. I think the big story here is not necessarily Colorado for me. I think it's more USC, and are they going to be able to compete against the elite competition in the Pac-12 and beyond without a defense?
Short answer, no. Long answer is, if you can't put teams away like that, especially on the road, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah. I mean, Shadur Sanders had a great game.
Yeah, I mean, they were up 48, I think at one point, 48-21 late in the third quarter there. It's like you want to see a team that can finish games there, take some time off the clock, maybe even just get a field goal or something just to keep the pressure on. But they went, I think, the whole fourth quarter. I don't know if they scored.
No, I don't think they did. I think they just hung on.
Yeah.
So more to come. More to come. Again, that's a team that we should be watching every week. USC. Number 9, Oregon takes care of business against Stanford, 42-6.
Talk about a program that fell off in Stanford.
Yeah, definitely. Post COVID, really pre-COVID, they had some solid stuff. I don't know if they lost a lot of players in the transfer portal, graduated players, or just had a tough time recruiting. No idea.
Right. Yeah.
Number 11 Notre Dame shakes off last weekend's loss against Ohio State, traveling to Duke and squeaking out a 21-14 win.
No, the luck of the Irish.
It was, right? They scored a late fourth quarter touchdown to win, correct?
Yeah, I believe it was under 2 minutes they scored.
Yeah. So I fell asleep before I got to watch the end of that one. Yikes. Which brings us to the current AP poll. Not a lot has really changed. We got Georgia up top, followed by Michigan, Texas, Ohio State, Florida, and Penn State, the first two out, followed by Washington, Oregon, USC, and Notre Dame.
We're going to get some.
Notre Dame came back up to 10, right?
Yeah, because they were at 11.
Yeah.
I don't remember who fell out. I'd have to look at last week.
Yeah.
But between 7, 8, 9 there, that's going to get all shaken up when they play each other.
As well as the top 6.
Right. And I kind of was curious to get Jim's opinion there. Like Ohio State 4, Florida State 5. Ohio State only got 1 first place vote, and Florida State apparently got 5. It's like Florida State's another one of those top 10 teams that they're not putting teams away or really making a separation. They're kind of just hanging on for these wins too.
Yeah, I have to imagine that the Florida State is a preemptive first place vote. That's probably people that aren't looking right now. Maybe there's some lobbying and some jockeying for later on.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. So games of note this upcoming weekend in college football include the Red River rivalry as number 12 Oklahoma takes on number 3 Texas.
Are we expecting this to be the same old status quo of like 40, 50 points per team?
I sure hope so. Just one thing I expect out of the college football season is this game to be high scoring. Maryland's traveling to Columbus to take on number 4 Ohio State in a battle of unbeatens.
I believe that's a noon kick as well. So at least get a good game off the gate.
Good. Well, it's a good match. It's a good matchup of unbeaten teams. I don't know if it's going to be a good game. Number 23 LSU travels to Missouri to take on number 21. I feel like LSU is probably going to end up winning this one, but Missouri it's not a slouch this year.
No, they've snuck up there, especially when they won that game with that 50-some, almost 60-yard field goal to win it.
Mm-hmm.
And then LSU, I just love watching Brian Kelly loose. I think he's a turd.
He is funny when things aren't going their way. That is for sure. Number 13, Washington State traveling to Los Angeles to take on UCLA.
Another one of those Pac-12 teams are just sneaking up there in the top of the ratings.
That's it. They keep on winning. They're going to find their way into the top 10. Number 11, Alabama traveling to Texas A&M.
This one, I think, could be tricky because, I think Alabama's lost to A&M a couple times there before, and Alabama still hasn't looked like the Alabamas that we're used to seeing.
Yeah. So I think Alabama's starting to turn a corner a little bit as a team, but I still don't think they're where obviously not where they typically are, but I still think they're waiting to reach their potential for the year.
Yeah, even at this point, I think we're used to seeing Alabama like putting these teams away, and like especially when they went down to UCF and they kind of just barely hung on there, playing a couple backup quarterbacks just to see what they had. Woof.
Number 20, Kentucky traveling to number 1 Georgia in another battle of unbeaten teams.
Yeah, and Kentucky just laid it on Florida too, and usually Florida has owned them historically. So Georgia doesn't wake up. This could be a game where they might get got.
God. Number 10, Notre Dame traveling to number 25, Louisville.
Go Cards.
Go Cards. Yeah, this is an intriguing matchup for me. Is this a Saturday game?
I don't know if it's a Saturday game, but I can look that up real quick while we try to kill some dead air.
I'm assuming it is, but this would be a cool game to see on like a Friday night to me. I don't think that the media market will allow Notre Dame to play on a Friday night, but
No, that game is Saturday, 7:30 on ABC.
Ooh, another night game for Notre Dame. Cool. All right. In other college football news, Louisiana Tech linebacker Brevin Randall suspended indefinitely after stomping on a UTEP player Saturday night. Nate, you found this video and sent it out. Give us a little play-by-play here.
So I'm not sure how the one player ended up on the ground, but it was one of the linemen, and then this asshat from UTEP or from Louisiana Tech literally stomped on the helmet of the other player, driving it straight into the ground. Like, there's no room for that in any level of football. And apparently they had missed this during the game live, and the crew had to go and apologize to the coaching staff, saying, "Hey guys, we messed up. We missed this one live." But good on Louisiana Tech, because I saw there was the whatever it is, the president of the university met with the head coach, and
Mhm.
they mutually agreed to suspend that player indefinitely. I mean, this is unprecedented. So I don't know, how many games do you sit this kid? Do you kick him off the team for doing something of that level? But I mean, at least they got together and said, no, look, we've got to suspend this guy indefinitely. This is not who we want representing the program this way. It's like, yeah, he may have just admitted, like, yeah, I had a lapse in judgment, but still, there's no room for that.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Definitely a good move by Louisiana Tech to take action and not wait for anything. Just do what
Right.
they got to do. And yeah, I mean, I hope they don't kick him off the team, but I hope they send a very, very, very loud message about what this means to their program and what it means for this player to be able to play later on. Like,
Yeah,
hey,
I just hope it's not one of those. Yeah, we're going to suspend you indefinitely, and then by the way, you're back next week.
yeah, yeah, I hope so too. And lastly, Mel Tucker has been fired for cause by Michigan State with the conclusion of the investigation into his behaviors with a sexual assault advocate and survivor. For cause, right? This should mean that he does not get paid in full. I'm sure there will be some type of discussion. There will be some type of count, like some type of suit. There'll be something legal that happens of this for him trying to get portions of his money back. What that will look like, this is probably going to play out over the next year or two. I don't think this is going to be an easy go away. But Michigan State, as we all know, has all of the reason in the world to want to separate themselves from behaviors like this, and will probably fight as much as they can to make sure Mel Tucker does not get anything that he thinks he deserves.
Yeah, in a way, though, I think they're going to try to settle this as quick as possible, too, especially after the Larry Nassar thing ages ago with the gymnastics teams and all that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like you said, this is probably going to take a long time. I think Michigan State's going to try to keep it under wraps as much as possible. Mel Tucker's probably going to be in the forefront trying to defend his name and whatnot. So hold on for the long ride, folks. This one's going to take a while.
Yes, I agree. All right. That brings us into other interesting news in sports. Boop, 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 boop. Starting off in the golf world, Jim's favorite sports, Nate's favorite sport too. I think everybody's favorite sport, definitely mine. Team Europe gets another Ryder Cup win on home soil, this time in Italia, as they capitalize on a huge opening day lead to get the cup, winning 16.5 to 11.5 in the point structure. Rory McIlroy was the star for Team Europe, earning 4.5 points over the weekend, while also, this is what was occupying a lot of the news, which a lot to say about the way that golf was covered over the weekend. McIlroy got into a heated argument with Justin Thomas's caddy, Jim Bones Mackay, of note for being a commentator and on-air personality on Saturday night, and also involved was Patrick Cantlay's caddy, Jim LaCava. After reports indicated that Rory had talked to Cantlay's caddy LaCava, he later told the media after his round on Sunday that they had not talked at all. In fact, he had to say it twice to the person who was asking him on air, "No, we did not talk. No, we didn't talk." This added to a lackluster media performance for the event, which earlier reported that the U.S. team was fractured due to not being paid, with Cantlay not wearing his USA team hat. Cantlay later refused the report, saying that it was total BS. Big thing here, Team Europe wins. Team Europe dominates the United States in this matchup. The United States in the live situation, they may have had one other player that could have been on there if that was the case, but I think this is just the way it was.
That's the way the cookie crumbles.
That's the way the cookie crumbles. And on the other side, Alex joins us.
That's me.
All right, we have Alex. Alex has joined the show after, well, still in the middle of being a medical degenerate, just not having to attend to anything at the moment.
Yes, I get a break. Everyone's bones are where they're supposed to be for the moment.
That is good. That is good. Alex, Nate and I have been chugging along, been doing great things, talking about the
Mountaineers
NFL,
won.
college.
Talk about that.
What's that?
Talk about that. The Mountaineers won.
There you go. We did not talk about it, so have at it.
Really?
Really? We did not.
I'm kind of upset. I thought, it's kind of a big deal. The Mountaineers are now 3-1 on the season. They're 2-0 in Big 12 play. Predicted to be in last place, are now in third place.
And then don't
actually
you and
tied
Jim
for first.
I'll say, don't you and Jim have a little side bet there if WVU gets bowl eligible?
The top 10, he owes me $5. If they finish out of the top 10, I owe him $5.
You did stipulate top 10 of the Big 12, correct?
Yes.
And how many teams are in the Big 12 this year?
This year or 16? I think there are 12 this year. 16 are gonna, or no, I'm sorry, 16 because the 14s came in this year. Then we're losing a couple and adding, But yes, Jim and I no, we really didn't fight about it. I guess we were just talking about my new hatred for TCU fans. I didn't know that was ever going to be a thing for me, but I don't like you. You're whining, you cry a lot, and then you booed players that were hurt, and that's ignorant. Shame on you.
Shame.
That's my take on the WVU game.
So, would you watch any other football?
Yeah, I watched what I could. I was helping my dad with some projects, and I watched the Colorado USC game as much as I could in between. We were watching over the fence. We took the.
You chose to watch that game? I thought you had boycotted watching Colorado games.
So what happened was I got a free $5 bet, and I decided to place it on USC to cover and the over. And my dad he was like, "Yeah, USC is probably going to cover, but that over is stupid." And I'm like, "No, the over is going to get blown out of the water," and it did. But we had the TV appropriately, the outside TV pulled out and turned to set up to where we were doing chores that our stepmom was assigning us while being able to watch football actively. So,
Alex, how do you feel? How do you feel that into the Boulder, Colorado economy, or the Colorado economy overall, that the Buffaloes have brought in like some $80-90 million worth of just total value, whether that's media or other?
I still think it's annoying. It's good. It's good for them and good for their town and all that jazz, but I still think it's annoying.
What if it was Morgantown?
I would think it was a bit of a show and a bit annoying, a bit showy.
Would you take Dion as your coach in West Virginia?
I don't want him, to be honest. I don't want that. That's not WV football. WV football is we don't have like dogs, we're like coal miners, like tough.
Well, you remember you had dogs back when they were good.
Yeah.
Sam Slayton, Pat White.
Steve Slayton, Pat White. Yeah,
I mean,
we did.
Maybe you need it.
Evan Bailey, Owen Schmidt.
Yeah. I mean, I think you've just pinpointed the issue. You need Dion. You need a Dion personality to come in, bring them dogs.
I'll stick with Garrett Green this year, and we'll see how we ride out.
Okay. Did you watch any NFL today?
I watched some Red Zone with my stepdad before I got called in, and we were also had the Steelers game on, but we muted it and chose to watch Red Zone because it was abysmal. And we watched mostly of the Buffalo Miami game, so there's lots of scoring there.
Did you watch any of the Toy Story game?
No, I did not. I saw one of my friends posted like a video clip of the Toy Story game though, and it was actually pretty cool.
They got to watch it. He was impressed. He liked it.
That's what I mean. Like from the couple clips I saw and like people's like reactions to it, they're like, especially ones with little kids, were like, "Yeah, it was actually really, really fun." I was wondering how they were going to do it live, but I guess it went like 2 plays behind, so they could make the animations. So, cool concept.
Cool. Good little recap from Alex.
Yeah,
Alex, have you followed the Travis Kelce Taylor Swift saga?
No, I'm sick of that too. That's on my list of things that annoy me.
You're allergic to the things that media hypes up.
Yes, I think that's it. This year, I am not into it. I just want them to hype up normal football shit.
Okay, well, here we go. Speaking of well, somewhat normal, not to be as normal anymore. In the NFL, they have made changes to their gambling policy that allows some players to return this season or maybe earlier than expected. The changes that apply to players only are as follows. Betting on non-NFL sports while a team facility or a team-related travel will now result in a 2-game suspension for a first violation, 6 games for a second violation, and at least 1 year for a third, which I think previously it was at least like 6 games, I think was the first violation that had been in place pretty much. I think that was the precedent that had been set.
Yeah, because that's what Jameson Williams had.
Yeah, I think so. So obviously he benefits from this because to come back a little earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we think? Do we think this is reasonable? Is this a good
I
step?
think for them to go from 6 games to 2 for the first offense makes me feel like they expect this to happen more, maybe. Because I mean, 2 games. I mean, yeah. I mean, you're like, oh well, that's just 2 games, but it's like, but then again, I don't have a problem with these guys betting on anything outside of their sport. But again, it's
when
like,
at
why
a
do you
team,
need to?
it's at a team facility
Yeah,
or
it's
as
like
part of a team trip, I guess, as well.
right.
That
But
happened.
to me, if you're betting on stuff at the team facility, or if you're betting on stuff like on the road trip with your team, how focused are you to your craft? If you're worried about getting a bet in,
Mhm.
Well, right
I
at the
guess
team
it's
facility, there's a lot of things like team facility. You could be sitting there getting treatment, where
right?
you may just be sitting there with your headphones in or watching TV anyway. So, like, I mean, I get that there's probably downtime in the team facility on certain days throughout the week, and team related travel, right? I mean, that's once you get there, you're probably pretty structured up until probably the evening hours. But for somebody that's on a Saturday night before a game day that you may
Mm-hmm.
not be able to sleep well, like, yeah, before the late West Coast games, I might fire off a bet.
Yeah, as long as it's not something that they can directly affect by their playing or other guy. Like I think like I don't like betting on the NFL at all because you're gonna have buddies. You're gonna be like, hey, look, I'll give you half this if you do this. You know what I mean? Like I feel like
Mm-hmm.
once you get out of that realm, like as long as you're not betting on your league, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
Like if you want to bet on baseball games, bet on baseball games. Like you're a normal human being.
Yeah.
But
Unless they're like Deion Sanders or somebody who's playing both sports.
yeah, exactly. Then yeah, I agree. But then yeah, exactly. Whatever league you're a part of.
Right.
But I think I hopefully this is like standardized, and I think that'll help too. Cause it seems like it was like willy nilly. Like one guy got a year, one guy got 6 games. You know what I mean? I think it's important that if it's going to be a more common issue, they need to address it and standardize. This is the punishment for the crime.
On the other side of this, a player who places a bet involving his own team will be suspended at least 2 years, and bets placed by NFL players on any NFL game will result in at least a 1-year suspension.
That I like. You need to be stern on that. Which again, if you're betting on your own league or anything like that, you're just a dumbass. I'm sorry.
You've just reached that point.
I don't even care if you're betting on your team to win. You're still a dumbass.
All right. There's Nate's thoughts. Yeah, I mean, they had to take a stand there. So, I mean, I'm glad they took it on that part and they laxed a little bit on the other part. In Chicago, and I don't even know what's going on with this anymore. This came out initially. Defensive coordinator Alan Williams resigned from the Bears for personal reasons last Wednesday, which fueled additional rumors that his home had been raided by the FBI. And also was happening at the same time within like a day or two of the Bears practice facility being vandalized. And I'm going to use the term raided just because I think some equipment was stolen, like some tractors and stuff like that. So Chicago's had a lot going on, and there's not a lot of information that's being followed up on about what has happened. So it leads me to believe that Alan Williams has something legitimately personal going on that he has to step away. And then the rumor mill just took it from there.
Yeah, it's bizarre. And of course, imagine if they were winning some games, maybe this stuff wouldn't be talked about so much. But when you're choking 21-point leads in the second half and
Yeah, I
you're
was
0
gonna say.
4,
I was like,
so yeah, definitely not the news that you want as a Bears fan.
that was another comment I could have made. I made the comment, "Wow, the Broncos suck so bad." I was like, "They're so terrible," and I started giggling. And that must have. I think the Bears heard me and surged.
Yeah, the Bears said,
I'm
"Hold my
sorry."
beer."
Yeah, yes. I think the Broncos heard me, I guess, and surged back as well. But yeah, Broncos are like, wait, you think that the Broncos are going to lose to everyone? We'll take care of that.
Got you. We got you. I mean, Justin Fields had 300 plus yards passing today, Alex.
He did. You're right, and he's on my bench.
Yeah, he's on my bench. Good. The USFL and the XFL will be merging, creating one competitive league in the United States post NFL season.
I'm really intrigued by this because as a sports or football fan, especially, just see some football in the spring whenever we're all getting that, like, I don't want to call it like seasonal depression, but like when we're missing football between the months of February and August, it's like now we're actually going to see, hopefully, some more competitive football in the spring.
I agree. I like the combination here.
Oh, wow.
The Rock.
And I'm curious to see too what teams survive, what teams go away, how many teams are we going to have.
Alex, how do you feel about it?
I like it. Why have two like subpar teams when you can have leagues when you can have one par league?
There we go. In NBA news, old Dame Lillard was traded from Portland to Milwaukee, finally getting his way. Which this was funny. Some of the story, because Lillard was pretty much like, trade me to the Heat or trade me nowhere else. I will only go to Miami. Right? It's one of those destinations. You want to go to Miami, you want to go to LA. That's pretty much the only places people want to get traded to. And then somebody said, well, wait, what if we trade you to play with Giannis? And he's like, oh, okay, sounds good. You can trade me there too. So, I mean, this finally ended this saga. I mean, Milwaukee's going to have a stacked lineup, be not a super team, but they're definitely in that echelon of top tier rosters.
Yeah, I think we all know that I don't follow or care for basketball, but I also saw, and I thought it was kind of odd, how many players of recent like trade requests wanted to go to Miami and not a single one of them ended up there. Yeah. Like, is it just the teams being stern saying, no, we'll trade you where we think is best trade value for us? Mm-hmm. Or is Miami just not being suitable trade dealers and saying, oh, yeah, well, we'll give you this and that, but we won't give you this, even though it's probably fair?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I get why everyone wants to go to Miami when everybody wants to play in Florida. Like, that's a good place to be. But not everybody can get there, and they can't afford everybody. And not everybody's necessarily a good fit for that team. And I agree with you, Nate. Maybe it's just Miami's not playing ball the way they want to. Just because the player wants to go there doesn't mean they're going to bend over backwards to make sure it happens.
Yeah, I just wonder how Jimmy Butler feels about all this stuff. It's like, oh, people want to come here. They want to play in Miami, play with me. It's like, no, you see all these other super teams being built, and I'm down here by my freaking self.
All right, moving on to some baseball talk. Famed knuckleballer Tim Wakefield passed away this past week of brain cancer. R.I.P. to Mr. Knuckleball himself.
Well, and there was a lot of controversy about how that news came out, too.
I did not hear this.
I did not hear
so this news about him having brain cancer was dropped by Kurt Schilling on a podcast.
Oh.
And apparently the Wakefield family wanted to kind of keep it private. Mm-hmm. And Kurt, being a former teammate, knew about it. And he said, oh, no, Tim's got brain cancer. It's not looking good.
Not cool. Not cool, Kurt. Not cool.
Yeah, was it like a faux pas? Like he accidentally slipped and said something?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear the sound bite or anything like that, but yeah, I just saw where they said that Kurt Schilling's the one that announced it basically to the world, and they really weren't that pleased about it.
It sucks.
All right. In Atlanta, the Braves' Ronald Acuna Jr. makes history with a 70 stolen base, 40 home run season. Also, in the course of this, broke the Braves' single-season record over the weekend by swiping his 73rd base. 40-70, 70-40, that's like really impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard of that many stolen bases to go with home runs in a season.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
We didn't really talk about it.
But I mean, with all these rule changes in baseball, I love seeing more stolen bases. I mean, you get actions on the base path. I wish I'd see it a little bit more in the high school game too. I mean, we're not going to see those rule changes there. But hey, credit to Major League Baseball. You made the bases just a touch bigger. You got guys to run more. We're getting more exciting content during games.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I was surprised I didn't hear about it. I didn't know about this until it happened. but it's like you hear so much about like Shohei and all those guys, and I'm sure if I paid more attention to baseball, I'd hear about this.
Yeah, I feel like if we were more in the Atlanta market, it would have been shoved down our throats. But
Yeah,
As you would expect and hope it would happen there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we gotta talk about something real quick.
Oh dear. Okay.
How do the Jets have 5 points?
Safety and a field goal.
All right, I understand that. How did this happen? Because this happened within like the last 5 minutes.
So I had this game on the background. Chiefs were pinned back in their own end, deep in their own end after a punt, and they committed a face mask penalty in the end zone. Guy was rushing, and that Juwan Jones that has all those false start penalties now and it was a legitimate call. It was a face mask penalty, and he got him in the end zone. So there's your safety, and then Jets drove it down a little bit and got a field goal.
Okay. I saw that and I was like, whoa, how did this happen so quickly? All right. Speaking of baseball and going into the playoffs, hopefully these rule changes, which are supposed to stay in effect as they are, especially with the pitch clock, the playoff teams are set. Starting with the best of 3 in the wild card round, with the Rangers and the Rays in the AL, along with the Blue Jays and the Twins battling in the best of 3 series. And in the NL, we have the Marlins taking on the Phillies and the Diamondbacks taking on the Brew Crew.
This seems to be, I mean, we haven't been following baseball that deeply, but to me, this seems like a lot more teams that we're not used to hearing or seeing in postseason action. Like the Rangers haven't really been relevant in a while. They went and made some splash signings in free agency, made a couple big trades. Tampa Bay's been there somewhat recently, but like Toronto, Minnesota, Miami, Arizona, those really aren't teams that we're used to seeing in the playoffs.
Playoffs.
Yeah, the Marlins are one of those teams that have like every 5 years they have like 2 years of good, right? They load up and see what happens.
For every 5 years to have 2 years of good,
right? Well, Alex, we did talk about the Pirates.
Yeah.
Earlier, we talked about the Pirates finishing 76 and 86, ending with a win over the Marlins in Sunday action. What are your thoughts on the season overall? Nate and I talked. What are your thoughts?
I'm disappointed.
How can you they're better than like 8 teams in baseball this year.
I know, because they started out so good, and I was going to caveat that. And it's not really the end result, like there's a total. I think I'm disappointed because I was so excited when we started out that good. And I knew not to do this to myself. I knew to take it lightly. And I tried. But I didn't, and I had my hopes up, and they were early crushed. But they weren't last. They weren't even second to last. So that's good. But when do we stop saying that that's good? I guess like I feel like any season at this point that we don't make the playoffs, we should consider disappointing.
Well, in baseball, those wild card teams are awaiting matchups with the winners, the best 2 division winners in each league, which would be the Orioles, Astros, Braves, and Dodgers.
And the Orioles are the team this year that really surprised teams. Like I don't even think they were projected to be in the top 3 in their division, and now I think they have the number 1 seed in the American League.
Yeah, definitely not expected. Retirements of note in baseball, we have Terry Francona retiring, former current Cleveland skipper. I always forget.
He was their skipper this season.
Adam Wainwright, Cardinals pitcher, as well as Miggy Cabrera, Tigers first baseman and DH.
Like he's played forever.
Yeah, Miggy, I wish he would have gotten one more chance to go compete for a team that had a playoff push. I mean, he was in Detroit for at least the last decade, and they really haven't done much of anything.
Yeah.
But he's just been so loyal to that franchise, and he just did what he's done his whole career. He just goes out there and he just hits the damn ball.
That's what he's supposed to do.
And then I had to laugh as I saw a video with Wainwright. He's been there his whole career in St. Louis. He was supposed to apparently go out last year with Pujols and Molina, but for some reason he decided to stick it out one more year, which he probably is going to regret given the way the season went. But in his defense, he did get to his 200th career win this year. So he gets to finish the season with that. And he apparently had always told his kids that they could not adopt a puppy until he was done playing. And they had some ceremony for him at St. Louis today. And the team gifted him a puppy.
That's pretty cool. That's nice. That's nice. And last on this week's episode, some hockey talk. Nate, take it away.
So somehow, some way, hockey regular season is back next week. So we're finally getting to that point of the year where we're going to have playoff baseball. We're going to have college football. We're going to have the NFL. We're going to have hockey. We're going to have basketball. All is right in the world.
It is.
And as we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, the boys went to Columbus last week to watch the Blue Jackets and the Pens. And we still need to get that answer. Is Jim officially a season ticket holder now?
I think him and his wife are at the beach talking about it right now.
It should be.
They're discussing the options.
Yeah. I mean, they're season ticket package holder, right? This is a full season ticket.
We're not. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a quarter season.
Yeah, it was.
Like
It wasn't
10
even
grand
that. I
for
think it
a
was like 6 games.
I thought it was 10.
10 games in one preseason game, and I was playing Aerosmith ping pong, foosball.
No, you weren't playing foosball.
Pinball. Sorry, I'm really tired. Pinball.
Bing bong.
Ping ball.
Bing bong. Nate and Alex were drinking a beer. Alex was playing pinball. Nate was tossing up softballs for Jim to knock it out of the park in his conversation with the Blue Jackets rep. It was interesting. There were cookies. Did any of us grab a cookie on the way out the door?
No,
Did not.
I was very full from dinner and the beer.
I wanted a cookie, but nobody else did, so I felt bad.
I was gonna grab the swag bags that were like there. You said take anything.
Did she say take anything?
She said take anything, but I don't think she meant those. Like the actual, like I'm pretty sure those were for the actual, like.
What? We were all the same people in the same room. What's different from them than us, Alex?
Money.
You're right. That is probably the main difference between the others in the room and us is the actual legitimate opportunity to pay for a season ticket package or a full season ticket.
Yeah.
So
one day when this show goes to the moon, we will.
We'll have Penn season tickets.
Yes.
And we'll have Pirates season tickets. And we'll have Steelers season tickets. And then Pittsburgh gets a USFL, XFL team will be in there as well.
Yeah, I was going to say NBA, but I feel like they blew that shot.
I don't think that's going to happen. Unless Cuban wants to bring a team there.
Yeah.
All right. And that wraps up this week's episode of Sports Stuff with Nate and Muff plus Alex.
Half Alex.
The Jim's enjoying the beach.
Fourth quarter Alex.
Fourth quarter Alex. Jim's enjoying the beach, introducing his children to the wonderful world of the ocean.
Yep.
For those of you who don't know, when we record, I'm typically looking at the notes and not looking at everybody on our virtual calls for doing this. So I am looking at Alex just look very tired and just not ready to fully engage, but wanting to engage. So I said that hoping that Alex would respond because I don't know what Nate's doing now, looking at his phone.
My mentality says respond, like my mental.
And Nate is looking at his phone and also watching this 17-5 football game.
Football. So, all right, this wraps up this week's episode. Make sure you subscribe, comment, rate, review, poke, like, tickle.
Get the bell on.
Bingo. Follow the ship up, and away to the moon, past the moon, to the next planets, maybe to the next solar system. And to do so, you have to tell a friend, make a friend, be a friend.